So Offset went on Joe Budden's podcast and decided to say that he's never seen a woman level up. So Cardi B ain't leveling up with Stefon Diggs.
When will Offset just let it go? When will he let Cardi B be? When will he ever let her be? Since they're no longer together, we cannot stop. See, I've seen a lot of videos of Offset just everywhere talking about his baby mama. Da, 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 da. When will he just accept that, okay, I can't have her anymore and let her be? Because what do you mean by all the women that have children with all your baby mamas? They've not leveled up, or they cannot level up since they left you. Who are you trying to talk to? Who are you trying to refer to? You guys, let me show you all this video, then we'll come back and discuss.
So Offset went on Joe Budden's podcast and decided to say that he's never seen a woman level up. So Cardi B ain't leveling up with Stefon Diggs, and that Stefon Diggs is basically just the unseasoned version of him. So I went to go look up his net worth. It says Offset is worth about 40 million. Okay. Stefon is worth about 60 million. That ain't that much more. Cardi is literally estimated at 101 million. So what is Offset talking about? I'm gonna run a little bit of the clip of him on the Joe Budden podcast.
I ain't never met none that I left went up, so I don't know how to experience. I got a question. It's like the unseasoned version. I mean, I ain't never seen no upward where I'm like, damn. Now,
I don't know how Offset looks at this as Cardi downgrading. She's with an NFL player who is worth more than him. She's worth like way more than him. I don't know. What y'all think about Offset saying this on the Joe Budden podcast?
Offset and all the men like him are saying the quiet part out loud now because they feeling real comfortable. So shouldn't none of y'all be falling victim to this shit no more. He got on a Joe Budden podcast and said out of his own mouth that no woman has ever walked away from the situation with him and done better or bossed up or anything like that. Meaning that all of his relationships he spent bleeding those people dry. He left them in a worse off position than when they were with him. He's never seen them succeed without him being around. Meaning he was literally bleeding their energy, bleeding their youth, bleeding them dry, sucking them through the energy of their womb. All them baby moms, Cardi B, he's saying the quiet part out loud. You will never leave me better than you came. They getting on here and telling y'all that. You had my baby, you my baby mom, I won. They getting on here and telling y'all that. They saying the quiet part out loud. It wasn't enough for our OGs, our big cousins, our big sisters, our big aunties of all race, religions, creeds, and colors, bitch. Shit, the alien women trying to beam message down from the and y'all called them some old hating hoes. Y'all owed them an apology. They was trying to tell y'all and put y'all on game. Stop letting these men trick you out your shot. They literally telling you out the horse's mouth. You had Corey Holcomb, that's his name, get on here and say, I literally date single mothers and women that don't have a lot of resources so that I could treat them however I want to because they're going to take this little couple dollars towards the cable and these little couple dollars towards the sneakers for little man. They literally telling you, they are making you vulnerable so that you're vulnerable to them and then vulnerable to other men after. They're telling you, I'm going to come up in your life and take your essence. I'm going to come up in your life and I'm going to take from you and leave you with nothing. I win. Out loud, out of their own mouth. And y'all will still get on here and argue the message. Y'all will still allow them to impregnate y'all and trick y'all out y'all spot. At this point, it's nothing that could save us. If hearing it from these men directly is not enough. It's not enough.
So real quick, what do we say on this page about men? They're in a pact together not to hold each other accountable. Today, Joe Budden having Offset on his podcast, that demonstrated that. So Offset's on there. He's talking about his relationship with Cardi. At no point in time did anybody push him about the fact that he cheated on her, that he repeatedly publicly begged for her back, but he still did not change his ways. They asked him softball questions about the relationship, or they asked him questions that centered her, but not his behavior. Like, you know, he talked about how he feels like no woman upgrades after they leave him. Does he think that his girlfriend post Cardi is an upgrade? Did anybody ask him that? No. And they didn't even push back on the fact that he's saying Stefon Diggs is not an upgrade from him, which further they're asking him like, well, would you ever get married again? Not would you ever strive to actually be a good husband in a future relationship. Like, this is what I mean. Like, even somebody that they know, like Joe Budden has said in the past that he knows that Cardi, he's never heard anything about her stepping out in their marriage, but he knows that Offset did. We all know that. But when he gets on a podcast, nobody says, hey man, what do you think led to your infidelities? Why were you not able to keep that marriage together? You're married to a very powerful, successful, influential woman who was really trying to help you even with your solo career. Why weren't you able to make that work? Instead, they're asking him general questions like they just broke up and went their separate ways because they both contributed to the downfall of that marriage. And that's why it's so hard to even take men seriously, because so many of them are the reasons that their relationships fail. And anytime that happens, instead of their peers holding them accountable, they try to act like it was both of them. Oh, it just didn't work out. It's just, those two different people didn't work out. That's not the case in most scenarios. Because if that is what happened, those two people would go their separate ways. And Offset spent all that time after him and Cardi broke up, like saying stuff like, oh, you still my baby mama, I won, et cetera, et cetera. We saw his behavior. And nobody on that podcast held him to account for his behavior or even asked him about it. They just pretended like it was like, oh, a relationship that didn't work out. So men always talk about, oh, women are allergic to accountability. Look at how they address each other when they have the opportunity, when they know a man was horrible to his wife and his partner, horrible to his wife after she just gave birth to his baby. And none of them said anything. None of them had anything to say. None of them even asked a question to lead to that kind of conversation.
One thing I can't stand what men do, yeah? You see, like when they break up with a woman, they break up with a man, whatever your preference is. When they break up with someone and then they're going on podcasts, this is so corny to me. They're going on podcasts and then they're talking rubbish and, oh, I've never seen a girl level up after dating me. You're not the best thing since sliced bread. Offset, if I'm being quite frank, I'm being quite honest with you. I take one look at you and I'm thinking, what did Cardi really see in you? I mean, listen, everybody has their person. Everybody sees value in someone. Everybody finds at least someone attractive. I'm not saying that. But I look at Offset and I'm thinking, I would never go for someone like Offset. Me personally. So I'm like, what did Cardi see in you? But then again, I forget where Cardi's from. You understand? But I hate when men go on podcasts and then start dogging out women. But you was with that woman. You gave her children. So it's like, you're now going on people need to think. You're now going on a podcast bad-mouthing the mother of your children. Or of your child, however many children you had with her. And it's like one day, your children, people just think of the now. Your children will then end up watching the podcast eventually and being like, why is daddy bad-mouthing mommy? That's what they're going to say. What are you going to say to your kids then? Think before you go on these podcasts. These guys just want to clip you and use you for clickbait. Think before you go on these podcasts, bro.
So, first things first, I have one thing to say. Melissa Ford is a bird, okay? Melissa, you are a bird. Every time I see you sitting on that podcast and they saying some ashy ass shit, I know you outnumbered, but all she do, key. What is the laugh about? What are you laughing about? So, if y'all don't know, Joe Budden had Offset Dusty Behind off the cheat on the podcast, okay? Because I think he's out trying to promote his next struggle album that's not gonna go anywhere, just like the last album, right? And so they're talking, and he decides to talk about how none of the mothers of his children, that includes Cardi, none of them leveled up after him. None of them upgraded after him. That elates him. That makes his heart jump, okay? He loves knowing that none of them have upgraded after me. And the only thing I can think that he's talking about is financially wise, is money wise. And if we're talking about money, Offset, surely you're delusional, because right now, as we speak, you're asking Cardi to pay you spousal support. Because you can't be talking about anything else, because when it comes to character, we can all agree, including yourself, that your character is trash. Your character is in the gutter. That is probably why you got, it didn't work out. It didn't work out with you and Cardi. And to your own account, you deserved for what was going on and the backlash that you was receiving and how people perceive you in the public, because you are a cheater. You have to be really delusional to sit there and say out your face, none of them ever leveled up after me, because what was it that you was providing? Because if you were on your job, you and Cardi would still be married. Y'all would still be a thing. If you was on your job, you wouldn't have multiple baby mothers. And I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't see people talk about this often and say, oh, he downgraded, or oh, she downgraded after me. She can't do better than me. But that's not a flex. If you know that you wasn't good for someone, especially y'all have children together, this is the mothers of your children, right? And you know, I didn't treat them right. I didn't do right by them. I would think that you would want and you would hope that they find somebody who treats them good. You would hope that they find somebody that treats them good and is good to your children, because her happiness directly correlates with how she's able to care for your children. But meanwhile, yo dusty ass is sitting on a podcast while everyone in the room is chuckling as you sit there and say how none of them upgraded after me. And we all have determined that was a lie. Let me know what y'all thought about that in the comment section.
Offset is a perfect example of when you leave a man, and the man that was expecting you to break down in tears and be begging him and expect your life to be miserable, and he sees you happy without him. Offset is a perfect example of those kind of men that will hate you because you're living your life, you moved on. When Terry was dating Stefon, a lot of talks, a lot of everything. Some people were even coming for Cardi B, like, why are you dating him? Or that's not like upgrade or something. She's just having fun. I personally feel like she's just having fun. She just wants to, get over Offset and all of the old drama. It's not easy. Every woman knows how they, in their own way, they know how to, put all this drama aside and focus. Some people want to move on with another man just to get distracted, just for distraction, not because of anything, right? Some people it's just for them to be on their own. Everybody has the way they kind of deal with heartbreak and heartache from this man, especially when you've wasted your years and your life, your body for them, and end up in a wrong way. And this is coming from somebody that is always cheating on her. So imagine you being a partner that is always cheating on you, and now you're like you're no longer interested. You yourself, you want to see how it is and all of that. So a lot of people are even coming for Cardi B that she was dating Stefan at the point. But my own is that, what is Offset's problem? Can you just let Cardi B be? What do you mean by no baby mama of you have leveled up? And to think that Cardi B has more money than him. Okay, if you're even talking about Stefan, is even okay than you. Like, I don't understand where the old jealousy, where the old anger is coming from, that you feel like you're better than whoever she goes to meet. And why are you upset about her? Like, why are you obsessed? You're so obsessed that you can't just move on with your life with the fact that she has already moved on or she's moving on. I don't understand why it's so difficult for these men to just let go. You don't want a woman, because if you actually want her, you will have cherished that moment with her, those time you have with her. You won't let her slip away. You were just breaking her heart back to back. In fact, when she finally left you, you disgraced her, telling her that, oh, you won, that she's your baby mama, that like you were just something else. And now she moved on, she's enjoying herself, she's not crying and wishing that, sometimes people take heartbreak differently. So women become very miserable and they feel like they cannot put their life together after, losing somebody that they truly love or spend their life, the rest of their life with, and all of that. She's happy, she's everywhere, she's happy, like, but it is very difficult for him to just accept that and move on. And why are you coming to the podcast to talk about it? It shows how pained he is. Like, I just feel like this is just reason for we women to know that when you break up with your partner, be happy, because it pains them to the core. They would, if I do anything just for them to see you sad and cry and wish that you can come and be begging them to have you back or something, or you guys can be together and all of that. Just be happy, live your life, choose yourself and all of that, because that is going to pain them to the core. And to think I don't even think that he's going to get tired of all of this. And I just sometimes I feel for him with all the old videos that Cardi B is posting. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope Offset is doing well. Anyway, you guys, what's your take on this? Definitely your thought down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, Jagamara David. And thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next one.